Hey guys, welcome back to the Blast Zone. It's good to be with you again. I'm sorry that a couple weeks have gone by without being able to connect like this, so I'm really glad that we can do this again. Got a great story for you today, and it is entitled How God Sees, and it's from the Old Testament book of 1 Samuel. Now, the people of Israel had begged Samuel for them to have a king, like all the nations around them. Now that was incredibly wrong. As God's chosen people, God wanted to be their king. But that just shows how far they had fallen from being in love with God. Instead, they would rather be like everybody else. Now Samuel was really upset with their request. But God told him to go ahead to give them what they wanted. So Samuel was directed to go to a man named Saul, and he was anointed Israel's first king. But you know something? Saul wound up not being a very good king at all. He just wouldn't obey God like God wanted him to. Finally, God had had enough, and he told Samuel to tell Saul, "Now your kingdom will not endure. The Lord has sought out a man after his own heart and appointed him ruler of his people, because you have not kept the Lord's command." So, what next? Well, God told Samuel to travel to a little town near Jerusalem called Bethlehem. There he would find a man named Jesse. As God said, "I have chosen one of his sons to be king." So Samuel made his way to Bethlehem and met up with Jesse and his sons, all 7 of them. Well, now how was he supposed to know which one was the right one to be king? But God was with him every moment, and he told him, "I will show you what to do. You are to anoint for me the one that I indicate." So now Samuel begins taking a good hard look at Jesse's son. The oldest son was named Eliab, and he impressed Samuel a lot, so much so that he thought, "Surely the Lord's anointed stands here before the Lord. This must be the guy." But not so fast. The Lord knew what he was looking for, and Eliab wasn't it. Why not? Well, this is what the Lord said to Samuel. "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." He's not the one. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So Samuel simply looked at Eliab and said, "No." I'm sure that Jesse was thinking, "Oh, well, I have 6 other fine sons for Samuel to consider. Surely one of them will be God's choice." But the Bible tells a different story. Then Jesse called Abinadab and had him pass in front of Samuel. But Samuel said, "The Lord has not chosen this one either." Jesse then had Shammah pass by. But Samuel said, "Nor has the Lord chosen this one." In fact, Jesse had 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. But Samuel said to him, "The Lord has not chosen these." None of them measured up to what God was looking for. So, was that it? Had Samuel maybe misunderstood which family had the son that God had chosen? So Samuel asked Jesse, Are these all the sons you have?" "Well, yes," Jesse said, "there was one more, but he was the youngest. Besides that, he wasn't even there. He was out in the fields looking after their sheep." "Well, I don't care," said Samuel. "Go get him. I'll wait." So Jesse sent for him, and soon his youngest son, a boy named David, came running up to where they were. As the Bible tells us, he was glowing with health and had a fine appearance and handsome features. And as Samuel was looking over this youngster, maybe only 10 to 15 years old, Samuel felt God's Spirit stir within him. Then the Lord said, "Rise and anoint him. This is the one." So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. So why did God choose the youngest, the smallest one in the bunch? He probably wouldn't have even gotten a look from Samuel or anybody else for that matter. But God chose him because of what he saw in David, even at that age. A man after God's own heart. David was somebody who knew the best he could ever be was to live his life with God's heart, to see things God's way, to do things God's way, and always live to be pleasing to him. That made him bigger and stronger and more ready to be king than anybody else in his family. And for that matter, anybody else in the entire nation of Israel. That's a great lesson for us. So many times we look at ourselves and wish we were bigger or faster or stronger than the other kids we know. Some of those things may happen as we grow up. But don't ever forget that God looks at us in a completely different way. Are we living like somebody after God's own heart? Is anything more important than living in a way that pleases him? Even if we think we're just a little kid, in God's eyes, if you've given your life to him, he's going to look at you like you're 10 feet tall. He wants you to see that the best you can ever be is simply to be all that he wants you to be. Guys, have a heart that pleases God. Live a life that makes God happy. That will be the greatest life of all. You guys take care and you have a great week. I love each and every one of you. God bless.